Hello and welcome to the United Stand. It's Sunday Night Live. Let's smash straight into it. Lots to talk about. I'm sure it's going to get heated. So chuck some coal on the fire and let's go for it. Some big issues to talk about. First of all, let's start off with Jose Mourinho admitting he faces a huge Paul Pogba dilemma over the next few games. As if we didn't know that we're totally reliant on him. As if we didn't know that we need to wrap him in cotton wool because without him we look lost, and as if we didn't know that his backup for Pogba is Fellaini. I watched the Man City game this afternoon. I think me and Flex are going to disagree about a few things about that, but I don't really want to dwell on City in the fact of, oh, they were lucky, this, that and the other. I totally agree with some of the banter or some of the digging we've got back this afternoon and this evening from City fans saying you can't shut up about City. We shouldn't focus on them. If we don't beat Watford, if we don't beat Arsenal, Flex said it last week, then we can forget City anyway. And actually, when you look behind us, the battle that's going on between 3rd and 6th is not going anywhere, and we could fall into that. And I think that's why we need to get some results over the next few games. But I'm going to start off with Flex because I know you felt that City deserved it today. Well, it sounded like you did with your Sterling love. But I'll give you a chance to come back to that. But what I do want to say is, for me and to everybody at home, my big problem is that in relation to this article that Mourinho admits there's a problem with dilemma with Pogba, what he's saying is that yesterday he wanted to take him off for Fellaini. He wanted to bring Fellaini on and play Pogba together, but he didn't know about the fatigue levels of Pogba. And when to be talking about the fatigue levels of Pogba when we've got 3 massive games coming up in the space of, 10 days, that worries me, Flex. And also, if I'm going to be totally honest, massive Mourinho fan, but when I watched City today for the first time in about a month, and when I've seen City this season, I cannot for the life of me ever imagining Pep Guardiola thinking I need to take De Bruyne off to bring Fellaini on. We've got no sound at the moment. All right, okay, it's my fault. Sorry, I realised. I know what went wrong there. It's totally my fault. I'd moved to another area. So Flex, I need you to come in again. Just from the start, hit it from the top. I was saying that around Fellaini, we've got this issue where Mourinho is basically saying that Pogba is, obviously fatigue is a problem with Pogba, and he wanted to bring Fellaini on earlier yesterday, wanted to play Fellaini with Pogba. He said in the past that if there's no Pogba, Fellaini's his replacement. And I'm a big Mourinho fan, but I think this is the problem. He's got to get it into his head that, look, City are playing very good football and they're getting a lot of luck, but they're also entertaining their fans. And that's something United fans, we have to have it. And you've got an opportunity in January to get rid of Fellaini, and all you do is spend every bloody week talking about him. And I don't care if people love Fellaini or not. I'll tell you factually now, when he's talking about getting Fellaini and Pogba on the pitch or replacing Pogba with Fellaini, that is why we will not be winning a title this year, because Fellaini as a replacement for Pogba, that takes a team from being Premier League champions to battling for 6th place.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. It doesn't set the world alight, does it? And it is really worrying with the Pogba situation at the minute. It's kind of like a double-edged sword because he is that good that, there's not many like him. So I understand that. You're not going to get a like-for-like replacement. We understand that. But to be so reliant on him and not have even half a plan B, it seems like we don't even have half a plan B to if he's missing. And he's been out for a while and the games are coming thick and fast now. And you do want to be cautious about him getting injured again, but at the same time, we really need him. We can't afford for him to be missing any minutes on the pitch at the minute. And if Jose's talking about, Pogba off and Fellaini on, things like that, it's hugely worrying. We don't want that at all because we're trying to win a league here and go on to bigger and better things. And when you're talking about taking out literally one of the best midfielders in the world and replacing with someone like Fellaini, who, don't get me wrong, has his strengths, but they're nowhere near the strengths and attributes that Pogba has. it is worrying, and I do worry about that. I mean, like I said, there is no specific like for like. You know, you're not going to be able to just take off Pogba and bring on another Pogba. I get it, but we need to have a better plan B than Fellaini.
Yeah, Ross, I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, we spoke about it in the week before the game against Basel. We said, why is Pogba even playing? Mourinho, 2 days later, plays him against Brighton. I think he played the whole game. He's talking about fatigue. We predicted this problem, that you can't get Pogba back from 2 months out and then play him against Newcastle, 3 days later play him in Switzerland, 3 days later play him at home to Brighton, 3 days later play him in Watford, 4 days later play him against Arsenal. We'll probably play him against Moscow because we're not definitely through yet, then play him against City. I mean, no wonder we're talking about fatigue again. And just to rub salt in the wound, this Fellaini thing, I hate it. I really hate it, because everybody knows I don't like Fellaini. I don't like that sort of footballer. So it comes across as being a Fellaini hater. But actually, even if I'd never said I didn't like Fellaini, I've got to be totally honest and say, look at where we are. Look at what City are doing. Look how far ahead they are. This is the problem. This is the problem. The fact that we are even talking about bringing Marouane Fellaini into our team and starting him in games. How the bloody hell do we expect to win a Premier League title? 1. How the bloody hell do we expect to play entertaining football? 2. When you're playing somebody who realistically is a player who would do well to get in a team that's going to finish 6th. Well, he did last year.
Do you know what? I think we desperately need to re-sign Fellaini on a new contract, to be honest, because if we don't, we lose a midfielder that we're not going to replace in the summer, because we'll have a set amount of targets in the summer, and you know, that's going to be that. We're not going to go out and buy 3 centre midfielders, which is pretty much what we need, even when we have Fellaini, to be honest. And on bringing him on, at the minute, I'd rather bring Fellaini on than Herrera, because at the minute, I'd rather bring on a paper bag than Herrera, because, look, the Herrera of last season, I'd love to bring him on, but he ain't there anymore. I don't know where he's gone. I don't know what's happened to him. But this Herrera that we've got at the minute, I mean, the 27 passes to Chris Smalling that I counted against Basel was a joke. And at least Fellaini brings something. And unless we will do a Man City and go out and buy 200 million quid's worth of centre midfielder, which we won't, because we have Ed Woodward and the Glaziers as in our board, it ain't going to happen. So I think he's right in what he's doing, and we have to sign Fellaini up, because we're short. We're incredibly short, and that's not Mourinho's fault. That's not the fans' fault. That's the fault of them idiots that we have that own our club, unfortunately.
I mean, double blow really, Flex, in a way that obviously we were poor yesterday. I think Mourinho quite rightly said that Brighton are one of the best teams we've played, and that you were there and you said it in your fan cam that, you know, Brighton were the better team, and they were the better team. And then we watched Man City. For those who watched it this afternoon, I turned it on at half time because Huddersfield were ahead, and you know, the call went in from the FA, penalty within the first minute. I felt it was a dive. I know there was connection, but if anyone knows anything about Sterling, he goes down quicker than a fat kid on cake in the box if you touch him. So, but to be honest, Sane hit the bar with a great free kick. And the one thing I would say about City that I can't say about United, and I couldn't say about United yesterday, is look, the winner from Sterling was very, very lucky. But what they do keep doing, and it must be great to watch if you support them, is that they keep to the way they play. They keep drilling and drilling and drilling passes through the box, and it must be very hard to defend against. Whereas United, we've got zero width. I don't understand where the width has gone. You know, it's a dead easy win with United fans, especially at Old Trafford. Use the width because it's in our DNA. We'll love it. And yesterday, I know it was a lucky goal from Young, and there was a few half chances, but I mean, I'm building up to a question here from Kev McGee, who said, honestly, can you see us beating City? And if so, how are we going to do it?
Yeah, on yesterday's game, in terms of our performance, it was really bad, and it's difficult. You don't want to moan too much when you win. You know, I'm not that sort of fan, but I am the sort of fan that kind of just looks at things in a bigger picture. And if we were playing against a better attacking side yesterday, we would have conceded 100%. You know, they were flashing balls across our 6-yard box 3, 4, 5 times. You know, a better striker. I mean, our Glenn Murray up front, who's not the quickest, he's not the sharpest, but you know, he's a bit of a lump. You know, against a better attacking team, we concede. And if we turn up like that against Watford, we lose the game. I stand by that. If we think we're going to go and put in a performance like that against Watford, we're going to lose. And don't even talk about Arsenal and then City. If we play like that, it's curtains. I mean, yes, Brighton had a game plan. They were very difficult to beat. There are no pushovers, but we just didn't have an answer for it. And for me, it's this start and slowly thing. We tried to jump on Mourinho, not me personally, but a lot of fans tried to jump onto Mourinho and say, he's boring, he doesn't want to play Rashford and Lukaku in the same team. Rashford and Martial in the same team. He's done it 2 games in a row, and 2 games in a row, we've had a bad start. Is that Mourinho's fault, or was that the players who need to kind of step up and put a good performance in? Yes, we did it in the end against Newcastle, not Newcastle, because the difference in the Newcastle game was that we were a threat from wide positions, and you touched on it there, Mark, sort of saying about the wide positions. It's in our DNA, it's how we play. I was absolutely shocked. I had Rashford on my side in the first half. I was sitting near the front, and it was like, somebody had said to him, "I tell you what, Marcus, when you go out there today, don't try and take anyone. Just try and get an early ball in the box." That's what it was actually like. He just wouldn't take anyone on. Same on Martial's side. It was such a difference to last week against Newcastle, and I think that's what could make us actually ultimately become unstuck, which is that inconsistency. We go from playing amazing to playing okay to playing awful, and yes, we might not have got a whole bunch of bad results to follow that inconsistency. We're doing pretty well considering that inconsistency, but going into the big games, your Arsenal's away, your City's at home, it's going to be very, very difficult. I don't want to say that Man City are going to come and roll us over in our back door, but if we play anything like we started against Newcastle and Brighton, that will absolutely steamroller us, mate. We've got to be on our game. It's as simple as that.
No, I agree. I mean, we've got the preview going up at tomorrow lunchtime for Watford. I've recorded a little bit around the tactics of Watford today because I don't think a lot of people know how good they are. And when you watch it tomorrow, we've got to turn up. Otherwise, there's only one team been to Watford and got a result, and it was Man City again, and they did it tactically. It was very, very good. Fionn saying, why are you talking about City? Stop doing it. I'm sorry, mate. I aspire to be Premier League champions, and there's somebody in our way at the moment, and unfortunately, it is Man City. And I certainly don't want to talk about what's behind us, because that worries me a lot. That's not a battle for second or third. That's a battle, you could be sixth very, very quickly. So we've got to keep winning games. Welcome to the show, Rodney. Hopefully, I meant to ask you if you can do the watch along with me on Tuesday for the Watford game, if you're available. But the approach to the game on Tuesday and Arsenal on Saturday, Ross. We've seen Mourinho's approach to these games in the past. In more recent times, Chelsea, Liverpool last season. His record's very bad, but it's in his DNA. And do you anticipate? How do you think we're going to approach these games for one? And what sort of clientele do you think he's going to use?
I think you approach both games to win, and the clientele you use is just based on that fact. I think against Watford and Arsenal, I think Flex is right. I think you take them both as the same outfit, to be honest. Watford have a strong attack, stronger than Arsenal if you ask me. So I think you've got to shore up that defence a little bit. I don't think you get away with playing 2 defenders on the pitch, which is what we played against Brighton and Newcastle. But you know what? Just going on that Brighton game, I know we were crap. I take that in straight away. But I really loved that result against Brighton. It just reminded me of what United is about. If when you play crap, and we weren't great, but I still think we deserve to win. And honestly, it left me with a big smile on my face knowing that we'd won that game, because that's the sort of game under Van Gaal we would have got beaten about 2-3-0, and that's kind of what we are now as a club. And we can moan about wins, which is brilliant. That's where we are now. That's what Jose Mourinho's brought. We can moan about wins. Fantastic. So now you're right. We move on to the next thing, which is the title. And you kind of, we were unlucky today. I think City were lucky, and I think City were poor by their own high standards. So you just got to hope that we continue our form, which is starting to turn around a little bit, regardless of the performances. And just take it into Watford, take that winning mentality, and no matter how poor we were against Brighton, there was a few key things that I really enjoyed watching. Like, one was Lindelof's performance. Two was the absolute effort from Lukaku. I thought, regardless of how he played, he'd give it 100% in that game, which is all you want from a striker that's out of form. And yeah, I think there's a lot that we can take in. And Pogba is a worry because he is, Flex said, he's the best midfielder in the world in my eyes. He's just phenomenal, and you've got to protect
yesterday,
him
wasn't
because. He was poor. He looked fatigued. You're right, Mark. He looked fatigued, and he shouldn't have played against Basel. That was ridiculous. And Jose was at fault for that. But we need to manage his minutes, and that's where this Fellaini thing comes in. Because you'd hope that we get an early goal against Watford. You just pray that we go 2-3-0 up against Watford and take him off. Because wow, if we don't have Pogba in our team, we've already seen it. We are pants.
Cobras Aikins has made a contribution, and it's a good one. Thank you, Cobb. He says, not saying copy City, but Martial is better than Sterling. However, Sterling is constantly moving off the ball, making 3 or 4 runs before he gets the ball. Our wingers seem to stand still. Jose or players' fault? Which I think sort of fits in with what Flex was saying there. I said this at the weekend and got a load of pelters for it yesterday. I was sort of picking up on what Flex said. Martial and Rashford can take people on, but they didn't do it yesterday. Herrera spent 3 years at United passing forward, and now he doesn't do it. I mean, are you telling me that the players have suddenly decided not to use their best weapons, or do you actually think it's tactical? Because I certainly think there may be some truth in that. In relation to the approach to the game, I think it's going to be very interesting. I think Mourinho will not impose our game on them at all. I think he will try and keep it tight and frustrate them, and then maybe nick it. And that could work. It could work against Watford, who won't have the experience, and it could work against Arsenal, who are a bit spineless. But I don't know what if I ask you now, Flex, 6 points there. I mean, I don't want to talk City because it's too far ahead, but we've got to win those 2 games. City are at home to Southampton and at home to Moyes' West Ham next weekend, so they're going to get 6 points. And we all agreed last week on the live comments on here that City are going to be 8 points ahead of us even if we win all our games. So we've got to do that. Watford, Arsenal, you're going to be at both. Are you confident we'll take 6 points? I mean, to be honest, if we did, I think next Sunday night we should all be saying brilliant, because I'll be honest with everybody, if we take 6 points against Watford and Arsenal, that is very good. That is very good form. I think in any other season, you'd probably say if we can take 4, that's really good. But we need 6.
Yeah, 6 is an absolute... There's no other option. There's no other option because for me, I think that we're on very, very, very dodgy grounds if we don't get the 6 points. Am I confident we're going to get 6 points in them 2 games? No, I'm not. I'm really not. The Watford game really worries me. It really worries me. We need to go there and put in a performance. Yes, the result is the biggest thing. I mean, if we play awful and nick a 1-0 like we did against Brighton, happy days. But because they're so confident right now, I feel like our performance level will have to be high, in my opinion. Personally, I think because we're and ahhing with this number 10 situation, I can see Jose just going for a 3 in midfield. Shoring it up and just taking out the number 10 and just going for a 4-3-3. Looking forward to the Arsenal game. Will he play Rashford and Martial in the same squad away to Arsenal? I can't see that. I could easily see Ashley Young playing on the left wing as a 3, if you ask me, and he might bring in Blind left back. He needs to try and stem the flow. It's a big game away from home. Arsenal will be up for it, and in my opinion, no matter what we say about Arsenal, about them being rollovers, and there's a fan yesterday, James fellow, he was really good, to be fair to him, but I didn't agree with him on the Arsenal comment where he thinks we're just going to go and roll Arsenal over. Arsenal haven't lost a game at home this season, and they're very strong at home. So us who away haven't won against one of the big teams, what makes us think that we're just going to go there and roll them over? I can't just see that. I'd love to be proved wrong, of course, but I've seen no evidence, like I said last week. I've seen no evidence in our performances away from home against big teams to suggest that we're going to go gung-ho, like we're going to go at it and attack them. Jose will make changes to the team. He'll make us more difficult to beat. He'll set us up for the counter-attack. Maybe not so much against Watford, but definitely against Arsenal. The way Arsenal play is that they like to be on the front foot and stick it on teams at home, which they have been doing. They did it to Tottenham and Tottenham were favourites going into that game. A lot of people put Tottenham as favourites, and they were humbled. They had some humble pie against Arsenal because Arsenal put in a good performance against them. So, back to your original question: are we going to get 6 points? I don't think we will. If I'm honest.
I think that's the realistic answer. I do. I don't know. I'm undecided. I've got a funny feeling. Well, I'll mention what I think will happen against Watford in the preview tomorrow, but I don't want to give anything away. But in relation to the Arsenal game, Flex is totally right. If you think about the last 2 games we've played Arsenal, and I know at the end of last season we were sort of thinking about the Europa, but the year before under Van Gaal, Arsenal have not been spineless against us. We've been the ones spineless at the Emirates for the last 2 games, and they've really gone at us and been able to get a lot of joy out of it. So got to be careful. Cobb Ross, I'll come back to that comment. He says Lukaku always pulls to the back post for crosses, yet no wingers or number 10 make that near post run. Instead they stand still. So if the cross is near post or not down, we never get the second ball. Why? And very, very good. I feel that we've been playing 2 months without a number 10, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes' time. Grit Gents Tech says, why is everyone worried with Watford? They leave spaces behind because they play so attacking. Well, as somebody said on the watch along yesterday, tell me a time United are scoring goals on the break. We're famed for it, but we just don't do it at the moment anymore. Remember, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock is the Skype show. So if things are frustrating, you want to get off your chest, jot them down, phone up tomorrow night at 8 o'clock and get involved. And we've got 1,600 people watching tonight. I'm sure you've got lots of opinions and you want to get involved in the chat. So remember, whilst you're doing that, drop a like on the video. It'd be nice to get to 500 likes before we close. But I want to pull this back, Ross, to comments in the week, which I think it just frustrates me. It frustrates me. And what I want to say before I say this is that we've been talking about this collectively on the United Stand Sunday night show for weeks and weeks, and when we get it right, I would like to focus it, because a lot of you in the live comments have said it as well. So as a channel, we got it right, and we've been saying this for weeks, and I know I've said it, and I think Ross and Flex have said it as well, certainly, because I remember us discussing it. And I've been saying for a long time, we've been saying for a long time, sorry, that Man City are playing really, really well. They are getting a lot of luck. I don't care what anybody says. And if you're getting that luck and an open checkbook and the good players they've got, they're going to be very, very hard to stop. But 13 games in, I think we are now. We were saying this about 10 games ago about City, that actually everybody who's playing them are so bloody naive and stupid. And what we saw today from a Huddersfield side, that their whole team probably isn't worth as much as one City player. But what they did do today is what we've been saying for weeks and weeks. Play a 4-5-1 or a 5-4-1, get everybody behind the ball when City have got it, and then when you get it, have 2 wide players who can bomb forward and exploit the flanks, and then let the front player just be decent offset pieces. And Huddersfield did it fantastically well today, and City could not pass their way through. You look at the goals City scored to win the game. Well, Sané's hit the crossbar, which was from a set piece, a penalty and a lucky goal. How many clear-cut chances, how many times did City carve Huddersfield apart? Huddersfield. So I really hope that everybody finally understands what we've been saying on this channel for a long time. Pep Guardiola's tactics are not the golden ticket. They're not. They're good, but they're beatable. And Huddersfield showed it today. He's a very, very good manager there. Which brings me on to my next point, Ross. Cantona, another ex-legend of Manchester United, but another legend causing problems for United. What did you make of his comments this week saying he'd rather have Pep than Jose at United? I mean, whatever we think about Cantona, and I love him, they are not helpful. They are not helpful for the manager. And I wish ex-professional footballers would stop doing that of the club. I know they're probably getting they've got a book to sell, or they're getting a little bit of money for it, but it really doesn't help. Because people like Cantona or the class of '92, as we've said before, they're loved by the fans. We love them, and when they speak, we listen. But that does not help. Do you agree with it? Do you agree with what he said?
No, I think Cantona's kind of a bit senile in his old age, and he should stick to his ridiculous adverts that he does. Loved him as a player, still love him, but yeah, keep his mouth shut. Like, there was a time when the comments were good, and that was when Van Gaal needed to be sacked and Paul Scholes come out with the odd
Scholes was brilliant, wasn't he?
I enjoyed that. Yeah, it was nice, and he was the only one that did it. But now, like, we're settled, we're content. Just keep your bloody mouth shut, and even that, I'll listen to his opinion, but it's wrong, because I wouldn't rather have Pep at all. I'd rather have the manager that we've got. And they were sussed out today, you're right. And they were sussed out, like you say, by a Huddersfield team that's worth 5p. I think if any team actually looks at that and goes, actually, with the personnel that we've got, we can do a hell of a lot better job than Huddersfield. And United should be one of them. And I really hope that people don't get on Jose's back when what he does against City, because what he did against Liverpool was wrong. He should never have parked the bus against them. You got it wrong, mate. But you have to do that against City, and I'm going to enjoy watching it, and I'm going to enjoy... we always said he won't play Rashford and Martial again in that game. It's looking like he's kind of trusting them to play them, hit them on the break. And I'd love to see Martial running at Otamendi one-on-one, because there's only going to be one winner in that race. And if they can't break down Huddersfield, they ain't going to break us down, because, regardless of the fullbacks, I think the spine of our team is very strong. It's just them wing-back positions that worry me, because you look at Young and Valencia and you think, have they got it defensively? Well, I don't want to see Blind and Darmian in there, so it's going to have to be them two, as far as I'm concerned. But, we'll turn City over, I think. I'm confident.
I think we will as well. And Southampton go to the Etihad on Wednesday. It's a bit cold and it's a Wednesday night, so it won't be full. So it'll be a bit like a neutral ground anyway. I really hope Southampton do what Huddersfield did today, and then I hope West Ham do it. I know it's Moyes and they'll lose, but I want to see every single team do that every single bloody week against Pep and see what he does, because he ain't got a plan B either. I just fed up of teams playing City and going for it, and they'll kill you. They will triangle you. They will slice you apart. And Huddersfield today just sat there with two banks and went, "Come on, have a go, see what you've got," and hit them on the break, and it worked. And I really hope more teams do it, and we would be perfect to do it. I'm going to ask Flex now about the Cantona thing, but before I do, Paul Robinson makes a good point, because when I was saying it, it was in my head, so I'm going to read it out because it's a good one. He says, "This channel's based on opinion. How can you say that about Cantona just because you don't agree?" Of course, I totally agree with that. But I think what you'll find on this channel is you'll get both sides, devil's advocate sort of thing, and we're a Manchester United fan channel. With all due respect, Eric Cantona is a legend, and when he talks, it's in every bloody paper and it's all over the place. And I disagree that he did still say that he loves Jose, and that's fine. And you know what? What's his loyalty to United at the end of the day? He has got a book out. He is trying to sell a book. He's doing as many interviews as he can, and he's saying things controversially to sell his book. Of course he is. Although his book's about poems, by the way, so don't worry about his management career. But I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the class of '92 still doing it. I still think they drip stuff against the manager. And maybe I'm defensive of Mourinho because I'm pro Mourinho like Flex is, but maybe I'm also pro because the press are so anti us as well. And actually, like Ross said as well, look at where we are in the league. We did win yesterday. We didn't lose. We won. We've won both our games back from the international break. We will qualify from the Champions League. We are second in the league, and he doesn't need that. Why does he deserve that? Why does he deserve to be dug out publicly where loads of United fans are reading it again and going, you know what? He's right. This isn't the United way. And we even heard that yesterday with the fan cams, Flex.
Yeah, I was disappointed with those comments. Yes, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and especially a club legend. But being a club legend, he knows that his words will be heard by nearly every Man United fan in the world. It's just not what we need. Even if you do think, I would like to have thought that maybe you might think, what, I do kind of think this or that, but I keep that to myself. And kind of when he does speak about Man United, because of the great memories he's had with us, it can kind of just be a positive. But Cantona is that character. That's why we loved him so much. He was controversial. He did do what he wanted sometimes. He did say what he wanted sometimes. He is that character. So should we be surprised that he's just come out and said it? Maybe not, given the kind of person that he is. But yeah, it's disappointing. I definitely disagree with him as well. Like what Ross said, I'd much prefer to have the manager that we currently have than Pep. But yeah, very disappointing to hear someone of Cantona's stature say that, to be honest.
I think it's spot on, Flex, because look what he was just saying basically is that, look, even Fergie and Bobby Charlton might think it, but you don't come out and say it. It's just wrong. Exactly.
He could know. He should know, like I said, that every United fan in the world's going to hear what he says, and he knows it could rock the boat. He's not stupid. He's been at Man United. He knows what Man United's all about. He knows the DNA of the club. He knows the fan base. And for him to come out and say it, I think it's a little bit disrespectful. Yes, he's entitled to his opinion, and I understand that. but with such a powerful voice, you know, sometimes you have to be careful what you say. If he still cared for us, but maybe a little bit of love's gone. Maybe he doesn't owe us anything. Maybe he does see it as it was 25 years ago or whatever it was. I don't care anymore. I'm trying to sell my book, and this is what I think in this moment, so I'm going to go and say it.
Yeah, he's definitely entitled to his opinion. I don't think any of us agree with that. But in the bottom, the reality is, you know, the most tetchy subject at the moment is the fact that City are tearing away with it with good football, and you say that United should have that manager instead of Mourinho. Unfortunately, I can't say Jose's on the show tonight. What do you think about that, Jose? But I guarantee inside you'd be really let down by that, because you'd be like, I don't need that. I don't need that, Eric. I really don't. And but you know, I back him. Ross backs him. Flex backs him, and I think a lot of you back him as well. But I do agree. I think I look at the fixtures over the next, Watford and Arsenal, City. Then we've got Bournemouth at home. Hopefully we'd win that. And then we've got another 2 away games before Christmas, which I've only just looked at. West Brom away, rejuvenated. Leicester away. So we've got a lot, you know, we need to win them all. My fear, Ross, is that actually, I don't like doing this, but let's delve into a bad situation for a moment. I mean, we play City in 2 games' time. We draw against Watford. We get beat by Arsenal, 1 point. City take another 6 from their next 2, which they probably will. That puts them 13 points ahead of us before we play them at Old Trafford. I don't think we should be trying to beat them. I think Mourinho would probably think, you know what, I can't open up to beat them at Old Trafford, because if we go 16 points behind them at the start of December, I'm screwed. I am absolutely screwed. I think he'd play for a draw, because he'd know that 13 points, the title's gone. And he can't try and win it, because if they beat us 3 or 4-0, ridiculous as it seems, because we'd probably still be about third. I think 16 points behind City and whipped at home. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, we've got, like you said last week, you know, we are in this position and we've got people against the manager. You know, it only takes a couple of logs on the fire, and we're in a ridiculous situation, I think. But I have to be respectful of it, because there is a genuine feeling out there amongst some United fans that they are waiting for that slip up to jump on it.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm just being narrow-minded, but I just don't get why that feeling's there, because all I can remember is what we were like 2-3 years ago, and wow, there's been an improvement. And do you really want Pochettino? You know, because he's the name that gets thrown around, and he supposedly got the best Tottenham team ever, and he's still fallen behind what's supposedly the worst Arsenal team ever. So he's no good. But yeah, I think that, you know, if that happened, worst case scenario, me personally, I still back Jose Mourinho sitting in second position in the Champions League and in all the cups, because realistically, if we all wrote down on a piece of paper where we want to be around Christmas time, regardless of how many points ahead first are, if you said second in all the cups, in the Champions League, top of the group, you'd have absolutely taken it. And I think we've all just got a little bit lost with how well City are doing this season. And it is this season, and I think it'll come to an end this season as well. And I think we will catch them. But if it doesn't happen, calm, relax. You know, we've got the summer. We're building something here. It was never going to happen instantaneously with how far back Van Gaal took us, to be honest, because we just regressed. So I'm calm. I'm absolutely calm. And I do think we have the right manager. And I think he's done wonderful things with our club that I wasn't really expecting. I mean, one I was thinking about today was the development of Rashford, one player that we all thought would disappear under Jose. He pretty much benched him for the first 7 games when we thought Rashford's career is over. Look what we have now. We have probably England's best player sitting in our team. So I'm absolutely happy and calm with what Jose is doing with us right now.
Any other season, as we've said before, and we mustn't lose sight of this, is 2 real big positives. One, well, there's 3. One, we are actually in a very good position. 2, any other season we'd actually be top. The season Leicester won it, the season Chelsea won it, we would be top, or if not top, well in a race. We wouldn't be 8 points clear. We're up against the juggernaut that's playing well, that's had a lot of money spent on it, and also has had a lot of luck. You know, I'm not going to say they've been totally lucky, because they haven't, but they have had luck, and they have had a lot of money spent, and they're a juggernaut at the moment, and that makes it difficult when they're from the same city as us. But personally, I'm not from Manchester. I'm proud of that. Manchester United are a global club. We're a global channel. I don't really give a shit about being from Manchester, if I'm totally honest. Manchester United haven't been a club like that for decades. So my biggest rival is what I'm coming to is Liverpool. I've always hated Liverpool, and Liverpool are the biggest rival to me. And actually, when I look at that situation, you know, United, we're 6 points clear of Liverpool. Liverpool have played a lot of teams, a lot of the big teams at home. We've played a lot of the big teams away, including them. 6 points clear of them. We haven't had a number 10, and we're up against Liverpool's best ever manager, according to Liverpool fans, and the best attacking side they've ever had, according to Liverpool fans. Yet we've scored about 20 more goals than them, and we've not been playing with the number 10. So that's a big positive flex. There are big positives. I think we do get dragged down by the City thing, and being United fans, that is right. We're always going to look above, because that's the mentality of the club, and it should always be like that. But just going back to that there, you were at the game yesterday. We are doing very well, considering, and it was a problem again yesterday, even for Mata, who we all love. You know, I love Martial as well, wasn't good yesterday. I love Mata, wasn't good yesterday. I love Pogba, wasn't good yesterday. We're going to talk about Lukaku, because I know he's a big topic. But another bad performance from the number 10 yesterday. We've spoken about it. You were talking about it in the fan cams. It's such an important position. And for United to be grinding out results like yesterday, with no number 10, and we've really not had a number 10 play well for 2 months, I don't think. How, you know, that is a positive, but how do we solve it? Are we going to have to wait till January? Because I think you were saying, you know, Zlatan concerns you, and he does concern me a bit in that position.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge problem for us. And the fact that we've been grinding out results is probably a positive to Mourinho and the players to a certain extent, because, well, I know some of the players are to blame for that number 10 void actually being there, but in terms of digging out the results, you've got to give them a pat on the back, because it's a massively vacant position for us right now. And it's probably one of the most key areas it is one of the most key areas on the pitch. It's what links your midfield to your attack, and to play without that, with so many big games coming thick and fast, is almost a travesty. How do we solve it? Yes, we need you. It's frustrating, because we have players there who should be performing way beyond how they're performing now. I think that's the frustrating thing. If Mkhitaryan plays to his capability, we won't even be talking about this. You know, if Mkhitaryan was playing how we should be, his penetration was good, his final ball was good, he was chipping in with goals, assists, etc., we wouldn't be talking about this. Same with Mata.
Did you think, just quickly there, Flex, because you were at the game and I had an opinion on it, Mkhitaryan did have a good 20 minutes. Some people have been saying put him back out on the wing. I thought he was poor as ever.
I don't know how, you know, that's the fascinating thing about watching games, especially at the game. I couldn't see him coming and didn't do anything for me. I said it in my review of the game. He didn't look like a player who was hungry to change Mourinho's mind. I mean, he's been questioned in recent weeks. He's been dug out in press conferences. How are you going to react? Are you going to buzz about the place? Do you want to win the ball back? Do you want to drive at the opposition? Do you want to put someone in and get yourself an assist? Or do you want to take a shot and try things? He didn't look like that guy to me. He looked like he just went through the motions. Yes, it was a bad performance from the team overall, and I'm not blaming it only on Mkhitaryan, but for the player of his calibre and the attributes he possesses, and let's not forget his attitude and desire has been questioned before, and he came through that test. He was out of the squad for a long time in his first season, a long time under Mourinho, and he came back in midway to the end of the season and did well for us. So you want to see him have that reaction again and get that consistency, and he hasn't done it. And just on to Mata, we love him, great guy on and off the field, fan favourite. He has been consistent for us in big periods. At the moment, he's not. I mean, since that mistake against Huddersfield, I haven't seen him do too well consistently, if I'm honest. It isn't just him. I don't want it to sound like I'm only digging him out, but we're talking about the number 10 position, and that's what the problem is. Jesse Lingard, not good enough. Not good enough. He played against Huddersfield. We saw that not good enough on a consistent basis. How do we solve it? Yeah, we're talking about Griezmann all the time. We're talking about potentially Ozil. Some people are talking about Dybala. Some people are talking about Draxler. But I think it is going back to, I mean, well, Zlatan even coming into there. But with the whole Zlatan thing, I mean, I'm not sure Jose's actually sure where he's going to play him. I think he's kind of tried to pull the wool over our eyes in terms of saying, yes, they're two great players, they can play in the same team. And, you know, if you were playing a game of FIFA, you know, Zlatan is a 90 and Lukaku's an 86. You want to fit them all in, but this is real life. It doesn't work like that. and the balance is not quite right. I don't want to see Lukaku playing the left of a free. He ran back, and yes, he, like Ross said, if you're out of form, he was running back and he's right in front of me. He sprinted back and made a great tackle and was absolutely blowing. But I don't want to see Lukaku there. It's not his strength, So I do think Jose is struggling to find a solution to that jigsaw puzzle as well. But I think he's trying to, because Zlatan is such a big figure, just trying to get a bit of calm about the place. But it's a big problem, and we need to solve it very quickly.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, Cameron McArdle says Angel Gomez. Look, I thought I dismissed it straight away because it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. But actually, you know what? It's a really good comment. Why not? Why not give him a go? We are literally playing without a number 10 at the moment, so why not give him a go? It's not like, oh, it's too much of a risk. We've got no one there. On Lingard, dropped yesterday from the squad. I've got a theory on that. I think he will play against Watford. I think he was being kept back fresh for Watford because they're strong down the left-hand side and we're going to go defensive. So I think Lingard will play. I don't think he was dropped. I think he was rested. On Mkhitaryan, from what I saw of it, and I know Flex was at the game and I know a lot of people watched the game, I just think he was consistent. And I don't think it's about effort anymore. I actually really do think, and Ross said it as well, I think it's Kagawa syndrome. I just think people have figured him out and he hasn't got the physicality for this league. And we've seen it with people like Sebastian Veron, who was world class. They just don't suit the Premier League, and I don't think he suits the Premier League. And I think ultimately we might waste a lot more time trying to make him fit. And I'll be happy if he turns it round, but I really, really don't think it is. And I think we have got a player who could be playing that position, but he's currently playing for Valencia, and you know, that was his choice, unfortunately. But we should be begging him and getting him back in January. But Ross, that number 10 situation, unless you tell me any different, in some ways, it's amazing we're doing what we're doing, because I really don't think that we've occupied that position. Maybe you could even argue for 3 years, because we were having the same chat last year about Rooney as a number 10. What would you do with it between now and Christmas and then January?
That's a really interesting comment about Angel Gomez, because you're right in what you kind of did in your head. You discredit it because it seems like a bit of a farcical fantasy. When you actually think about it, if Jose did randomly put Angel Gomez at number 10 and we lost, would he get slated for it? The fans definitely wouldn't, because that's what we love seeing at Old Trafford. We'd love seeing the trial and error state, and give these guys a chance. And I think he would prove himself, and that's just what I think about Gomez. But I thought Mkhitaryan was pants, to be honest. I thought a player fighting for his career at Manchester United and his career in the Premier League showed nothing for me. Yeah, all right, he had managed to get a couple of passes off, but it was hardly forward play, and he wasn't really running about like Flex said. He wasn't really running like he gave crap, to be honest. So we don't have a number 10. Mata wasn't great. We just don't have one, and Zlatan may be the solution, but I haven't seen a lot from him either. I know he's just come back from injury. You can't judge him too much, but I think Zlatan's one of them players that when he's playing well, the arrogance looks brilliant. When he's playing poor, the arrogance really starts to piss me off. And with that Lukaku run back, it did wind me up that he had to run past Zlatan to chase back for that, because it was obvious that Zlatan was not interested in running back. Is that because he's not fit enough? Well, if he's not fit enough, he shouldn't be playing. If he just hasn't got the energy to do it, why is he playing in the first place? Little things like that start to wind me up. But if he starts banging in goals, then that arrogance turns into brilliance, unfortunately.
I'm just going to read through some of the super chats. This was one from yesterday from Jared Pesserman. He says 150,000 subscribers, you effing legend. Well, obviously, well done to everybody. We did do that yesterday. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, yes, please do. Bottom right hand corner hologram. We're live every night at 8 o'clock. Preview going up tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Watch along Watford. 2 massive watch alongs this week. We'll have fan cams after both with Flex. They were brilliant again last night. Watch-alongs for both massive games, biggest games of the season, can't wait for them. Matthew McFadden said City are like a scripted opposition team in FIFA. Cobb, Ross Aikens, we've read both of those, really good. Darian Jones, Griezmann is truly back to form, we need him bad. And Josh E says players scared to create Mourinho's poison chalice. Got to talk about Lukaku, obviously. Ross and Flex have both sort of alluded to him already tonight. But in relation to that point Ross was on about there, I remember covering it in my post-match reaction yesterday. And to be fair, good tracking back by Lukaku, and I know it got the crowd going, but he had just given it away playing on the wing, which I despair. Why is Lukaku going on the wing? He's got no first touch, he's got no control of the ball, and he had just lost it, but he did track back. But Ross is right about Zlatan. For me, if Zlatan's going to play, he's got to play number 10. When he goes up front, the opposition just move up 10 yards and presses, so that's no good because we can't play the ball over the top. They're not scared of it. But if he's going to play number 10 and not track back, that means our midfield will get swamped. Time will tell with Zlatan. I'm very excited that he's back, fantastic player, but where does he fit in? And does he cause us the same problems as last year? And does it cause us the same problems because Mourinho won't sub him when he starts him? He won't sub Lukaku at the moment, Flex. Just quickly, a lot of people were saying Old Trafford was emptying. It was last couple of minutes, squeaky bum time, and it was emptying. Don't worry about that. That's just people going to queue to do the fan cams with Flex. But Lukaku, what are your thoughts on Lukaku, Flex? For me, I want to stick by him. I'm totally with him, but I don't want him to see him on the left wing. I think that's a bloody joke. Left or right wing is just embarrassing. I mean, that for me is another flaw of Mourinho, where we saw it with Zlatan last year. He just won't sub certain players, and I don't think he wants to sub Lukaku because of what was said a few weeks ago, where the fans sort of turned up against him a bit and he was like, he's our most important player, I'll never sub him. I think he feels if he subs him, he's sort of giving in to the fans. And actually yesterday, I think he should have subbed him.
Yeah, I agree with that. Jose's trying to cover his back there. I think at a time when we didn't have another number 9, we could play Rashford up there, but he was doing all right on the wing. And Zlatan was injured. Yes, Lukaku was a bit out of form, but Jose needed to protect him. He was our only striker then, and if you lose him, then we really did have nothing. So I think he might have overstepped the mark by backing him to that extent, sort of saying he's untouchable and shouldn't be in for any criticism. I do agree. My thoughts on Lukaku have fluctuated over the season. If I'm honest with you, when we first got him, I was excited. I was happy. I know some people disagree. I actually did think he was a better fit for us than Morata. I thought, when we were linked with Morata, I kept saying, doesn't make sense. And when Lukaku just come up from nowhere, I was pleased. I did know, obviously we know there's the questions over his first touch, his hold-up play, etc., his link-up play. We know those things, and we know that that's not going to change. I actually did hold my hands up. I said it in my review. I think I was probably a bit too harsh on him earlier on in the season, especially after the Liverpool game, because I think it's starting to see with the pattern of play that I'm seeing around him is that he's not a striker who's going to bring himself into the game. He doesn't have those attributes. He can't dribble. He can't run at people unless he's got acres of space and he is sort of 1-on-1 in a channel. I get that. But in terms of coming deep to pick up the ball on the half turn, run at someone, beat a player, beat another player, stick it in the top corner, it's not his forte. He needs to be fed. And whilst we're not playing in that way with no number 10 who is feeding him, with wide players who won't take on players consistently and get the ball in the box, he's not going to shine. And in terms of him going out into the left or the right, oh Jesus, I don't want to see it at all. He's not good enough to play there. He's not versatile enough. Lukaku is a number 9. That's it. Traditional number 9. You play between the width of the 18 yard box, and you don't go anywhere else. You're a big lump. You're fairly decent in the air. You're strong. You're a fox in the box. He's not a great footballer, Lukaku. And when I say not a great footballer, I mean technically. That's not the strong point of his game. His strong point of his game is his knack for scoring goals, being in the right place at the right time, and getting goals and being a bit of a pest. But he's not a great footballer. And if we try and use him in that way and expect him to play himself into the game, we're not going to do well. And that's what we're seeing right now. And I think with Lukaku, once he's a player that once he's scoring goals, he looks great. But because he's not good at all the other things, once his goals go, it shows and people start to get on his back. But we knew what we were getting, So it's up to us to have players around him. We're going to keep feeding him, and we're not getting that at the minute.
I think that's a great point, that bit there. We knew what we were getting. When we discussed him in the summer, I wanted Morata, and obviously Flex wanted Lukaku. As soon as we signed him, I wouldn't swap him for Morata. I like what he brings to the team, and those people who predicted that, fair play. I think Morata is a very good striker, and I think he would have done well, but would he have pushed defences back with his work rate and his strength? I don't know, arguable. So I'm happy with Lukaku with what we've got, but to be criticising him for his first touch or the fact that he's a bit of a flat track bully, is unfair, because we knew that when we signed him, and I don't think he was ever pretending to be anything other than that. So he's got to work on that, and he's not going to work on it in 3 months. We're going to have to wait for a season to do that. I agree with what Amaro Z said in the live comments, that it's very frustrating that it's always the same players that he subs, whether it's Rashford, who started 70 minutes, or Martial 70 minutes. I mean, again, yesterday, Ross, Lukaku, when you look back at it, he did have 3 chances where you'd expect and hope a player of his quality and price tag and scoring calibre over the last few years, I wouldn't call them clean cut, but there were some good chances again, like there was against Basel, like there has been over these games that he hasn't scored, and he didn't score them. I think it's fair to say he is going through a barren run at the moment, and putting him out on the wing, it's odd. It's odd behaviour for a club of Manchester United to be, you know, I'd expect Mourinho to be managing Porto or even Everton and keeping his best player on the pitch. But we're Manchester United. We've got better players who can play on the wing than Lukaku. But I know you're a big fan of him. I felt yesterday he did miss chances again, and he should have come off for the benefit of the team.
I don't agree with this putting him out on the wing thing. Totally agree with that, and I kind of have got no more comments on that than he shouldn't be there. But I think that he should always be on the pitch, because I think he does give us something, and there's no question he's bang out of form at the minute. He's really struggling, but he's also a very clever man, because he knows how to win the Old Trafford fans over. And what he did yesterday, look, it was one run. I know he gives the ball away, but I'm seeing things all over the pitch from him. I'm seeing a constant encouragement of other players. When people deliver shit balls into him, because he gets a lot of crap crosses, and I don't even think he got crosses that bad at Everton. He's always encouraging people. Whereas Zlatan throws his arms in the air in disgust. Lukaku saying, "Come on, give me more of them." Like, I just like seeing that. I like seeing that positivity, and it's not working for him at the minute, but it will happen. And I've got full faith in him. And I really back him. I really do, and I think that positivity and that work rate, it will bring results. And the number 10 thing, we haven't done, and you can't brush over that, because you just look at him for Belgium. I mean, he could turn his back and it come off his arse and go in the goal, because Belgium create so many chances. That's what he does. And Flex is spot on. And in saying that he's not a fantastic footballer, he isn't. If he was 5'5", he wouldn't be in the top leagues in the world. He gets away with it because of what a beast he is, and that's what we've signed. We've signed an absolute beast, and to me, he looks like he's gelled into the team well. The players around him love him, and you've got to back him. And when you have a player that will run back and make challenges like that, in the dying minutes of a game, that's why you have to leave him on the pitch. And I think it's more where he's playing. If he put him Zlatan on and played them as a front two and worked them off each other, it'd work. It's the whole putting him out on the wing thing, which kind of it doesn't sit well with me at all. That, and he needs to pack it in.
Interesting. There are a few issues I think that the next week will define. I think we win the next 2 games, it'll buy Mourinho a lot of time. We don't, and then the City game, I think in two weeks tonight, a fortnight, we'll know a lot about not just United's season, but Mourinho's future, as bad as it is to say. Interesting, and looking forward to it. I'm just going to throw this comment out there. I'm not going to ask anyone to reply to it. I'm just throwing it out there because you're intelligent enough to read it like I did and just get yourself thinking for a few seconds. It's from Darshan Bagel. He says, "Remember when Herrera was a player with great vision and passing, also played number 10 at Atletico. Now he doesn't pass forwards. Why?" And I think it's a bit like what Flex said. Rashford and Martial yesterday, both very good flair players who can run at players, not doing it. Why? Is it coincidence? Have they been told to do it? Have your own thoughts on it. But what else was I going to say? It's totally gone from my head because I've left myself on that comment there. But I know what I was going to say. Ross and Flex talking about a tackle. You can change your career on a tackle. Flex, forget him. Lindelof yesterday. Changed his career on a tackle, and I don't. Whoever said it can jump on the bandwagon with me, but I have been saying it for weeks about Lindelof. I think, I'll let Ross have his say in a minute, because I think Ross wrote him off, but I might be wrong on that. But I did say...
I did.
You did write him off, did you?
mate, I did, and maybe I was wrong.
All I'd say, and I'm going to let Flex because he was there, and I think the tackle was right in front of him as well. Vidic, I remember Vidic. He was absolute rubbish when we first signed him, and I think that was the thing that always made me think. And I know a little bit about Lindelof as well, and I knew that we hadn't seen his potential. And obviously, Mourinho doesn't spend 30 million. He doesn't get it wrong with defenders very often, but the Vidic thing was the thing for me, Flex, and that tackle I thought was brilliant because for all the doubters, I think he got him back yesterday.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that tackle. I'm not embarrassed to say it as well. It was right in front of me, and I was so about 8 rows from the front. I was sitting on the edge where the steps are as well, and I just jumped out of my seat saying, "Go on, boy, well done, well done." Because you know that's what endears you to fans, especially as a centre half. They want to see you committed. They want to see you steaming into tackles and obviously winning the ball and showing your desire for the club. And to be fair to him, a few weeks back at the Huddersfield game, an opposition fan said he was a pub defender, and you know that game he was directly at fault for that goal, and you know he didn't head the ball. And this is a tough league, you know the Premiership's a tough league, man, and Man United's a tough place to play. You know you're in straight at the deep end, and like you said, I do remember Vidic was horrendous. I remember David De Gea was horrendous. I remember Everhad was poor in his first season, you know, and look what players they've turned out to be. So it was about just giving him that time. On the flip side, you know, I do like to play devil's advocate. It's been 3 good games on the bounce now for Lindelof. So he's still got some way to go. Let's see him keep quietly going about his business. But he started to turn it round, and he started to get his feet under the carpet and get comfortable and put in some good performances. So long may that continue. But you know, to truly mention him in the bracket of Vidic and Ever and Ferdinand, etc. He just needs to keep doing what he's doing and cementing his place down, and hopefully he can see him to become a good long-standing player at United at the heart of our defence.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of people are saying he's nowhere near Vidic. Of course, no one's saying that. But what Mourinho did say before the season even started is that when he signed Carvalho at Chelsea, it took him a year to get used to the league, and he said that will happen with Lindelof. Lindelof is 6'2". He's only just 23. There's a couple of things that are going to happen, and Gungshi just said it. It's just a slow progress. He won't probably play against Watford or Arsenal, but he'll come in for the games against home games. Mourinho bought him, so he'll keep giving him more and more time. He's 6'2". He will bulk out as well. You know, he's one for the future, and I think he'll turn out fine. And it's certainly too soon to say otherwise. Please do drop a like on video. We're nearly hit the 500 likes, which would be fantastic. So if you haven't liked the video so far, please do drop a like. It's been a cracking show as per usual. Go on then, Ross. We're going to have a little bit of fun here because I think the show in a fortnight is going to be really, really interesting. Watford, Arsenal, City. How many points?
And City. You threw City in there because I was about to say 6. What do I think? I'm just going to go with 7. And I'm not going to tell you where the draw is in there either.
No, that's fine. Ross is going to go with 7. Flex, how many from you?
Sounds cliche, but I was literally saying 7 as well. I'm going to predict it as well. I think that we'll beat Watford. I think we'll beat City. And I think we'll draw away to Arsenal. I'm going to go with that. Okay,
I'm going to go 5. I think we will beat Watford. I think we'll draw with Arsenal, and I think we'll draw with City. So I'm going to go 5, which ultimately isn't that good because 6 would be better.
It's not going to be good enough, is it?
No, it isn't, and I think that is such a shame. Well, it's not a shame because if we get 9, like George says, back of the net, and that's what we need. But unfortunately, because of the juggernaut we're chasing, any other season, I think how good Watford are this year. Arsenal away, City. If you were taking 6 points or 5, you'd be over the moon with that.
100%. 100%. I agree. I agree with that. My phone's ringing at me. I'm trying to get somebody off this line as well. If we can go and get if we get 9 points out of that, I mean, I'm going to be sitting here in 2 weeks' time, absolutely buzzing. And we play. I've been getting a lot of stick recently as well. We play Arsenal on my 30th birthday as well. It's actually my birthday on that day, and I would love nothing more than to stand outside the Emirates with all the Arsenal fan TV lot and give it to them. But I just can't see it. I really can't see it. I hope I'm proved wrong. The City game though, I don't know. I agree with Ross. I've got a sneak feeling, even regardless of how we play. I know you talk about, obviously, if we've lost them 2 games prior to that, then this looks like Mourinho could be trying to save his job and he might try and go for the draw. But if we are sort of 13 points behind City, I see, you know, as damage limitation, put in a performance against City to show that, you know, we can get something out of the season. But I think that there's going to be a really big performance against City. I think the players are going to use it as a chance to stand up, be counted for. Yes, it does depend on what happens on the 2 games prior. I get that, but I can just see a really big reaction. I can see a really big reaction. But the Watford and the Arsenal game, I mean, they're so key. I'm really nervous about the Watford game. I really am because, you know, in past seasons you would never think we'll be going away to Watford thinking it's a massive game and thinking we're a bit nervous. But I really am. And Arsenal, I've got no confidence we're going to win there. I really do think we'll draw.
It's interesting with City as well. I think if we fight them, like Ross was saying, when you look at their team, they're not a team that fear for me anyway. Anyway, I can see the viewers dropping at 9 o'clock. You sad lot. We've lost 300 viewers when we're still live at 9 o'clock because they're all off to watch I'm a Celebrity. And that is, you've just exposed yourself on live TV there. 300 of you going at 9 o'clock. Sad lot. But anyway, I want to watch it as well. No doubt. Thanks for coming on, Ross. And let us know what your Twitter feed is.
It's Hazard90, mate, and yeah, I dropped off as well, mate, because I'm been calling for I'm a Celeb as well.
All right, mate. And Flex?
Yeah, it's Flex at United Stand, so feel free to add me on there. And we'll keep it up, guys. Yeah, cheers for all the support. It's going really well. Look out for the fan cams midweek as well, and some good stuff coming up during the week as well. But we'll talk about that more during the week.
Cheers, everyone. We've nearly hit 500 likes as well. I'm sure we'll hit that just before we go off. Fantastic on the live comments. Well done if you haven't gone to watch I'm a Celebrity. I think that's just really sad. But it takes all sorts. It takes all sorts of opinion. And tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, it's your Skype show to Skype in and have yours. And remember, if you're on lunch break or school break or you're off, luckily off tomorrow, 1 o'clock tomorrow, we've got the preview for Watford coming up. And if you don't know much about Watford or you know a little bit about Watford, it's well worth a watch because put a bit of work into that. I've been very impressed by Watford and Silva this year. So watch it at 1 and then we're live at 8 o'clock. So 1 o'clock tomorrow, we've got a video coming up. And make sure you've got your notifications on, which is the bell underneath. Click the bell and turn it on for all notifications. And then tomorrow night at 8 o'clock live, as per usual. Thanks, everyone. Flew by again. Speak to you all very soon. Thanks for coming on, lads.
Cheers, Mark.
I wasn't. No